My name is Dr. RickyAllmon. I'm the author of the Life Lessons book, Living in Full Effectiveness. This book was inspired by my favorite book in the Bible, which is the book of Proverbs, which gives us more than principles and philosophies, but it provides practical application for daily living. It is important that we understand how not to just navigate the function of our life, but how to negotiate the roles in our life. Your functions may change, but your roles are constant. And so through the Life Lessons journey, I want to encourage and empower you how to turn your failures into your focus, how to use your fears as your fuel so that you can maximize your potential and be productive in your purpose. In other words, this book is designed for everyday people to get everything out of life.
Dr. RickyAllmon's new book, Life Lessons, is focused on purpose, productivity, and faith. Let's first talk about the book that you have.
So you have 31 Proverbs, but my favorite one is actually the first one. Of course, anybody going through the book, they may have another one that's their favorite, but my favorite is the first one. It's called Show Your Scars. And that life thought deals with the fact that your scars are more than a reminder of your past.
Absolutely.
It's a reward for your survival.
Yes.
It's a sign that your wound has healed. And so oftentimes when people look at their scars, they go, oh, there can't be anything good about this, because they think about the miserable moment or the unfortunate circumstance that gave them that scar. What they're not realizing is that scar is actually a sign that there's more left in front of them than behind them. Ralph Waldo Emerson said it best. He said, what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. Good evening. I'm Dr. RickyAllmon, your future facilitator and spiritual strategist. You want to know what time it is? It's time for Life Talks. Welcome to Life Talks Leadership After Dark, where I just come on to encourage you to explore your full potential, to engage all of your passions, and to expand your possibilities. I am so glad that you're here with me on this Thursday evening. If it's Central Time, it's around 8:34 Eastern Time. It's 9:34. If you're on Pacific Time, it's about 7:34. No, 6:34. I'm sorry if you're on Pacific Time. But I'm glad that everybody's here. If you're on Facebook, here's what I need you to do. And I'm paying attention. I'm looking right now at Facebook to see how many of you all are on here and how many are sharing it. Listen, right underneath this video, just click that share button. If you're on Facebook, click the share button and share it on your timeline. Go ahead. It's time to turn up on a Thursday. Share it on your timeline. Invite those that are your friends and your followers to a watch party. Start a watch party on your timeline and have others to watch this along with you. For those of you that are watching me on YouTube, I'm building a strong YouTube family. Represent. One of my relatives watches faithfully on YouTube, and I'm so glad that he's there. RB Fields, he's holding me down on YouTube. RB, you're going to end up being a moderator on YouTube because of your consistency. But if you're on YouTube, here's what I need you to do. 3 things. I need you to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and then click that notifications bell so that every time I come on for Life Talks or any other live conversation, you will get an automatic notification that I am on live so that you can join into the conversation. For those that are on Twitter, go ahead and share this on your timeline. And of course, I've got a strong following there on Periscope. Thank you for being here. Let's get this conversation started tonight. Let's get this party started. How is everybody doing? How are you doing? How's your week been? I hope you've had a week of peace. I hope you've had a week of productivity and purpose. I hope you've had a week of adventure. I hope there are some new and exciting things that are happening in your life. So let's go ahead and do a roll call. We're no longer calling it a quarantine roll call because some of y'all are outside right now as we're talking. So this is the Life Talks roll call. Go ahead and shout out your first name and what city you're in. And why don't you just tell me what your favorite word is? Anybody that knows me knows that I have a love and affinity for words. So give me your favorite word. I hear somebody saying, so Dr. Allmon, what is your word for tonight? Since you put me on the spot, one of my favorite words is the word sagacious, which means to be wise. You say somebody is sagacious, that means they're wise, they're witty. You've heard me use it. If you've ever heard me speak, I talk about somebody sagaciously stating. So that's my word for tonight. What's your word? I'm looking at you all coming on. I need to make sure you're sharing this while you're shouting out where you're coming on from. I need to make sure you're connected. I need to make sure you can hear me and see me, and that you're ready to get into this conversation. You know, every time we come on, I always give you something to do. So if you're not already connected to me via text, I need you to text the word Impact Life to 31996. If you're not already connected to me via text, so that you can receive real-time text messages from me, I just might want to drop you a line to encourage you just to see how you're doing, or to let you know about some upcoming event I may have or something I'm participating in. So text the word Impact Life, all together, no spaces, to 31996. Also, if you want to read some of my thoughts, occasionally I like to share a blog, share musings from this meandering, muddled maze that I call a mind. So if you want to share in some of my thoughts, text Ricky Allmon to 22828, and I'll send you out a newsletter where you can just read some of the things I'm thinking. I'll give you insights, inspirations, things that I believe will speak to your life. So please go ahead and text to both of those numbers now to be added to my text group. Text Impact Life to 31996. And to be added to my newsletter, text the word Ricky Allmon, no spaces, to 22828. Wow, it has been a lot going on. You'd almost have to be on another planet. And I think even if you're on another planet, it would be impossible for you not to be aware of everything that has been happening in our country, in our culture, and in our world. And it's been a conflagration of things. It's been a myriad of things. Some things have yielded some positive results and some forward advancements. Some things are not so good, and we're still working it out. But I think one thing that's very critical for all of us to do is to identify our space in the world, identify our place, identify what we ought to be doing and how we should be doing it. I think that's very important. Last week, I shared with you in the midst of all of the protest and the civil unrest that was happening across our country. I share with you from the subject, when silence is sinful. And one of the statements I made is that silence plants the seeds of consent that are cultivated by the absence of protest. Silence plants the seeds of consent that are cultivated by the absence of protest. And something I need you to understand is protest is more than just having a picket line sign. Protest is more than just having a megaphone to your mouth. But protest is you standing in your right to be you wherever you are. That's what I call proactive protest. It's not just about being one in the crowd, but even when you're standing alone, and if you have to stand alone, it's demanding the right to be everything that you were created to be, regardless of anything around you that tries to defy the very essence of who you really are. And that's what we're going to deal with tonight. But let me give you a quick flashback to what we talked about last week. Watch this, and then we're going to move forward with our conversation tonight.
I want to wrestle with the subject when silence is sinful. When silence is sinful. And if I could put a tag on this text for you to take home with you, look at somebody, tell them these words as emphatically and vociferously as you can. Tell them you've got to say something. No. I need you to say this like you had something on your mind that you know God wants to do in your life, and you've got things around your life that's trying to deny you of the destiny that belongs to your life. Look at your neighbor one more time and tell him you've got to say something. You've got to say something. It's imperative that I preface my prophetic preachment with a poignant provocation. And that is that in view of the injustices, the inequalities, and the insensitivity that we're seeing in our country and around our world, it is quite obvious that somebody ought to say something. But not only that, somebody ought to have something to say. As a matter of fact, silence plants the seeds of consent that are cultivated by the absence of protests. When you are silent, you are saying in effect that even though I don't like what's happening to me, I can't do anything about what's happening around me. Silence then is an apathetic disposition that resigns itself to a neutered and neutral position of impotence and ineffectiveness. Because what silence suggests is I'll just go along to get along because I'm afraid to stand alone. But it was the prophet Jeremiah who, while being ridiculed, beaten, and placed in bondage by the backslidden Pashur, the son of the priest Immer, Jeremiah, who while sitting in a dusky, dark prison, the Bible says in Jeremiah 20:9, Jeremiah said, "Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was in my heart as a burning fire shut up in my bones." And he said, "I was weary with forbearing and could not stay." The old church had a song that said, "I said I wasn't going to tell nobody, but I just couldn't keep it to myself." Have you ever said at any point in your life, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just shut my mouth. I don't want to lose my job, so I'm going to just shut my mouth. The cost is too great. I've got children I'm still trying to get through school, and even though I see how this subtle racism is happening, I'm going to just be quiet. I don't know who's going to support me. The support is scarce, so I'm going to just shut my mouth. My reputation is too fragile, so I'm just going to shut my mouth. My future is too uncertain, so I'm just going to shut my mouth. But while you are calculating the casualties of your own convictions, your conscience began to release a roar out of your soul that your tongue couldn't tame, your teeth couldn't trap, and your lips couldn't lock. And even though you knew it was going to cost you to open open your mouth, whatever the cost was, you realize I've got to say something if I'm going to see change in my life.
Wow. You've got to say something. You've got to open your mouth. I call it proactive protest. And so tonight, I want to deal with the subject represent. Yeah, you ought to type that on the screen. Hashtag represent. And I want to deal with the thought. It's a colloquial that I grew up with in Southern Louisiana. And they would say, I can show you better than I can tell you. In other words, if you're not hearing what I'm saying, just watch what I'm going to do. And that's what I want to deal with tonight. I want to deal with represent. I can show you better than I can tell you. Because if there's anything that this world needs, is it needs individuals of authenticity and integrity. It needs individuals who understand who they are, who understand what they possess, who understand what they're called to do, and who understand where they're going. That's what represent means. Represent is to know who you are, is to recognize what you possess. I'm not talking about accoutrement and artificial things, but I'm talking about intrinsic things in your potential. To represent is to recognize what you're called to do, and then fourthly, to know where you're going. Even though every conversation we have is designed for you, tonight's conversation is about you. So I'm getting ready to talk to you about you. I hope you're ready for that. That's what I'm going to talk about you, as we used to say when I was growing up, to your face. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about you to your face. Because I've been thinking about you and I've been praying for you. And as I was contemplating what I would share tonight and how I would shape what I would share, the thing that kept resonating in my mind and in my heart is how many people have the real them locked up inside. And as a result, you're not looking like yourself, you're not acting like yourself, and you don't have in your life the things that you need to accomplish what you're called to do. So tonight is going to require some intensive introspection. I'm going to give you 4 questions tonight. That's going to be the whole of our conversation. And then I'm going to let you get back to whatever you were doing on your regular scheduled program on a Thursday night. But I've got 4 questions I want to bring you tonight. You said, well, Dr. Allmon, we listen to Life Talks because we come for answers. And that's good to know. But tonight I can only ask questions. You know why? Because you're the answer. The questions that I have tonight, I can't answer them for you. Only you can answer them. And so there are 4 questions I want to put in front of you. While you're leaving comments, I hope you've got a writing utensil. I hope you've got something to write on, or the notes section on your smart device. Because this is something you're going to want to ruminate about and meditate on over the next few days and weeks and months. Because our world needs authenticity, our world needs integrity, and our world needs individuals that will be proactive protesters, that will stand for their right to be who they authentically are. This goes beyond race. This goes beyond class. This goes beyond color. This goes to the core of humanity. We were all put here because there is something that each of us uniquely possess that no other of us have in that way. Let me say that again. We were all put here because there is something that each of us uniquely possess that no other of us have in the same way. In other words, you're necessary. You're essential. But in order for those around you, as well as yourself, to get the true benefit and value from you, it's important for you to live as the authentic you. So represent. That's what you're getting ready to do tonight. You get ready to represent. You got to show me better than you can tell me. So here's the first question I want to ask you. When it comes to you representing, who do you represent to yourself? I want you right where you are. Nobody's going to think it's strange. But just say your first name. Verbalize your first name. And then I want you to think of one word that you believe is synonymous with your first name. So when I say Ricky, the first word that comes to mind, some of you already know it, is the word impact. I want whenever somebody says my name, I want them to think about their life being impacted. Every time somebody thinks about me, I want them to think about somebody that's committed to inspiring them, informing them, educating them, equipping them, empowering them. So say your first name and then think about what word best encapsulates and captures who you are. Go ahead and type that word on the screen. I'm going to see some of the words here. Go ahead and type whatever that word is that you feel best represents you. Go ahead and type that word in the comments now, because that's the first question I want you to consider. If you're going to represent, if you're going to show me better than you can tell me, the first question you have to answer is, who do you represent to yourself? You know why that question is so important? It's because if you don't know who you are to you, then you become subject to whomever the world says you're going to be. And you don't have time to waste like that. So when you get up in the morning, while you're brushing your teeth, before you turn on the radio or television, before you walk out of the door, you've got to know for yourself who you are to yourself. Somebody said that their name represents loyalty. That when they call out their first name, the word that comes to mind is they represent loyalty. Now, when you think about that word, of course, you know this is a setup. So whatever your one word is, I want you to then begin to think in the days to come how you best personify that word, how you best demonstrate that word, and how you can be more consistent. So go ahead, type in the comments. Type in the comments what your one word is. What is the one word that best describes your name? So the first question you have to answer is, who do you represent to yourself? The second question is, who do you represent to those closest to you? You said, well, Dr. Allmon, I hadn't really thought about that. Well, let me give you some clues, some context clues. Let me give you some hints. What do those closest to you come to you for? Because whatever they come to you for, that's who you represent to them. I hear some of you talking, well, all they do is come to me to borrow money. Well, you obviously represent a bank to them, okay? Or a Wells Fargo truck. But whatever people come to you for, that's who you represent to them. If you're somebody that people come to for advice, then you represent wisdom. And so they see you as a wise person. if you're somebody that people come to for comfort, then you represent a safe place. You represent somebody that has empathy. So who do you represent to those closest to you? Now, this is so important because it's critical for there to be alignment between who you represent to yourself and who other people see you as. It's important because sometimes what people see you as may not be who you really are. And you find yourself in a disconnect. And then they wonder why you've shifted on them or changed on them. But what they're not understanding is the you that they've been connecting to all of this time is not the you that you were created to be. And so what you've got to do is you've got to train people how to engage you. Yes. Stop walking around being an imposter of yourself just to be accepted by those around you. You're doing yourself and them a disservice. You know why? Because they're not really getting the best of you. Yeah, they may be satiated and find temporary solace in the fact that they can get from you what they want, but pretty soon that's going to get old. Pretty soon you gonna snap at them and they not even gonna know why. They thought everything was good. And it's not because you have a problem with them. It's because you have a problem with you. Because you finally decided that I'm no longer going to be to you what I represent to you, because I'm going to be who I know I'm supposed to be for me. Come here, let me ask you a question. When is the last time you've been you for you? I'll wait. When's the last time that you could honestly say, you know what? That felt good. I was myself. I expressed myself. I acted like myself. I was true to myself. There is no greater freedom than when you can be yourself. As I mentioned earlier, I'm from South Louisiana. I'm from an area that prides itself in great hospitality. And the most endearing words that anybody could tell you when you visit their home, especially if you're a first-time guest, a perfect stranger, is make yourself at home. Of course, if you are a consummate house guest, you dare not take advantage of that. But at the same time, it helps you to relax, to know that you're in an environment where you can just be yourself. And that's important for your life. It's time for you to come to a place where you can just be yourself. Not have to put on an air, not have to put on a front, not have to be ambiguous in your personhood, but where you can stand as yourself. Somebody said they're going through that process right now and it feels great. I know, right? It's liberating. It's like shedding weight. That's what it's like. I guess for a woman it would be like, taking off makeup after a long day. When you can finally just get rid of all of the undue, unfair expectations that other people have put on you that don't belong to you, and you say, you know what? I'ma just be me. I'm not about to spend another second of another minute, of another hour, of another day, of another week, of another month, of another year, of another decade being somebody I'm not. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, who do you represent to yourself? The second question is, who do you represent to those around you? And then the third question is, listen to this. Who do you represent to those who benefit most from what you produce? Now we're talking about your career. Now we're talking about your job. Now we're talking about whatever labor you engage in your life, whether it's with your intellect or whether it's manually. But who do you represent to those who benefit the most from what you produce? Let me tell you something. The weight of your life, the gravitas of your life is worth more than a check. It's worth more than a 401k. It's worth more than Social Security and retirement. At best, those things are tokens. I hope I'm stirring you up tonight. At best, those things are the attempt of an employer or a company to give you some remuneration for what you do. But I can promise you that no matter how much they're paying you, what they're paying you does not measure the full worth and wealth of who you really are. So you need to ask yourself, who do I represent to those who benefit the most from what I produce? And when you ask yourself that question, you have to ask yourself, am I giving the best of me to something that knows how to bring the best out of me? Who are you giving the best of yourself to? What are you giving the best of yourself to? And does it have the capacity to cultivate you? Not just give you a gratuitous thank you for your effort. No. It's important that if you're giving the best out of your life, it needs to be to somebody and somewhere that knows how to bring the best out of you so that you can live in the best that's for you. Aren't you tired of being treated like less than you? This is good tonight. Aren't you tired of giving your best, giving the maximum, but only getting the minimum? So you got to ask yourself, who do you represent to those who benefit the most from what you produce? And then fourthly and lastly, the fourth question, you say, Dr. Allmon, thank you. I'm so glad you've gotten to the fourth question because you have worn me out tonight. I didn't come on here to get hit like this. Well, this is a day of reckoning. I told you tonight was about me asking you questions because you hold the answers. Here's the last question. The last question is, who do you represent to your future? If your future came tonight and said, I'm getting ready to escort you into everything that you've ever imagined. If your future came tonight and said, I'm getting ready to advance you into opportunities beyond your wildest dreams. Come here. Get a little closer. Would your future recognize you? Does your preparation look like your possibilities? Have you been so busy trying to maintain where you are, trying to appease and please people that don't really care about who you are, that you've forgotten about where you belong? It's time for you to represent. It's time for you to act like who you know you are. I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation that you're necessary. There are three aspects of you that make you necessary. Number one is your virtue. Your virtue represents the best that's in you. In this world that we're in today, with all of the unrest around us, all of the tension, it's so palpable. You can cut it with a knife. We need your virtue. We need you to dig up the best that's in you. What is it that you like the most about you? Because whatever that is, you need to bring that to the forefront. The world needs that. If it's just your smile, the world needs your smile. So the first thing that makes you necessary is your virtue. The best in you. The second thing that makes you necessary is your value. Your value is the thing that makes things better for others. Your value is your self-worth. It's that thing that when you come around other people, they know what's getting ready to happen. Oh, Pookie here, he gonna make us laugh. Your value. It's the fragrance of you. I love great fragrances. I love to wear great fragrances. I love to buy couture fragrances, oil-based fragrances for my wife. We've got candles all through our home. Our home is replete with candles. And if I see a candle getting low, I'll say, baby, where's the candle? I love scents because it creates atmosphere. That's what your value is. Your value represents your signature fragrance. It's the thing that makes the world better. Your virtue makes you better, but your value makes the world better. And then the third thing that makes you necessary, and I'm done with this, is your vision. Your vision is the thing that calls better to you. So your virtue makes you better. Your value makes the world better. But your vision calls better to you. I need you to see something. I need you to start seeing something that's greater than the reality you're in right now. I need you to start seeing something that's beyond the circumstances you're facing. I need you to start seeing something that goes beyond the pain and the pity and the pessimism that's trying to choke out your possibilities. I need you to see something beyond racism and sexism and ageism and nepotism and cronyism and all of the ills that are in our world. You know what I want you to see? I want you to see you. I want you to see the fact that when God made you, I like to say it this way, that egg met the sperm, became a zygote, then an embryo, then a fetus. Your mom went through 3 trimesters, 9 months of gestation and incubation. And do you understand there's something so unique and so powerful and so necessary about you that whether you are the result of sexual ecstasy on the backseat of a car during a midnight rendezvous, or whether you are the result of marital bliss during a Caribbean honeymoon excursion, think about the fact that out of 400 million sperm, you were the one that got to the egg during the time of ovulation. There is something to you. There is something special about you. And it's time for you to represent. That's all I want to tell you. It's time for you to represent. Don't tell me about it. Show me. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you've been inspired. I hope you have been informed. I hope you have been encouraged and empowered to be the best you. That's what Life Talks is all about. It's really about empowering you to explore your potential, to engage your passions, so you can expand your possibility. Before I get off, I just want to remind you of a few things. If you haven't gotten the Life Lessons book, I don't know anybody in the world that should know about this book. Please go get it. You can go to the lifelessonsbook.com, RickyAllmon.org, or just go to every major platform where books are sold. Amazon, Kindle, and Apple Books. You can get the book on any of those platforms. And then also I have it in audio book. It's narrated in my voice. So you can get the Life Lessons audio book. As a matter of fact, if you want to receive a free copy of the Life Lessons audio book, here's what I need you to do right now. You can do this on your phone. Just email info@RickyAllmon.org and type free download as the subject. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you a free download code for the book, but I need something from you. After you listen to the book, you'll come to that link and you'll write a review. That's all I need you to do. You don't have to write a whole essay. It doesn't have to be a thesis. Doesn't even have to be a paragraph. Just a few words telling me what you thought about the book, and you'll be sent a link to do all of that on. So you'll get a free download of the entire audio book, and then you'll get a link as well. There are those of you that have been asking how you can connect with me. You said, Dr. Allmon, I appreciate what you're sharing, but I want some personal coaching. I want leadership development. Maybe you are an executive, you are a corporate leader, you're a church leader, and you need help with strategic planning and succession. But I'm here. I'm available. I can coach you personally just to help navigate life. I can help you with leadership development. I can help you with strategic and succession planning. Or maybe you're just somebody who needs spiritual growth and you say, I need a spiritual growth mentor. I need somebody in my life that can help me to grow, to expand, so I can become everything that I ought to be. Again, just email me at info@RickyAllmon.org. You see it going across the scroll right now. I'll let it go a little bit longer. So just email me, hit me up, let me know, look, I need personal coaching. I need leadership development. And this is for everybody. You can just be a person that's just trying to do life, or you're a pastor, or you are an executive, or you're an entrepreneur. And you just say, look, I need help. If you're somebody that needs help, then I can help you. And so please just send me an email at info@RickyAllmon.org. And then I want to encourage you to join me on Saturdays. Every Saturday at 11:30 Central Standard Time, 12:30 Eastern Time, I have a conversation with my great friend, Reverend Stephen Thurston, and it's called The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. It will be streamed. It's a conversation about life and leadership in a digital world. So I want to encourage you to just tune in. It'll be on this platform. So whatever platform you're watching me on tonight, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope, on Twitter, it will be on that platform. And that conversation is designed for entrepreneurs. It's designed for consultants, for pastors, for organizational leaders, social media influencers, anybody who wants to maximize their potential, mobilize their purpose, and multiply their productivity. And you want to follow him too, Stephen J. Thurston. He's on all social media platforms. He also has a website, StephenJThurston.com, but connect to him. Great guy. He's a project manager, leadership developer. So you want to connect with him. But thank you for joining me tonight. I'm going to go off tonight the same way we went off last week. I've got this. If you're connected to me on Facebook, you've seen this clip already. It's gotten, I think, over 1,200, 1,300 views already. And so if you want to see it and share it to your timeline, you can. But I just want to close out from something that I talked about called Somebody Ought to Say Something. Because if there's a time that we ever need people to speak up and stand up, the time is now. So this is how we're going to go off tonight. We're going to go off watching this clip. So stay tuned. Comment if you want to. Thank you for joining me. Have a great night and enjoy the rest of your week. I hope you have an amazing weekend. And meet me here next week. Same time, same place for Life Talks with Dr. Ricky Allmon. I'll holler.
I gotta close, but that's why I can't be quiet, because praise is my voice. My praise is a protest against everything that wants to shut my mouth and shut down my life. But I've stopped by to tell you that I don't care how much the enemy tries to shut you down. Don't you dare shut up. Every time he hits you, you keep opening your mouth. Every time he knocks you down, you keep opening your mouth. Every time he tries to take you out, keep opening your mouth. Is there anybody here that say, I'm going to holler for my children? I'm going to holler for my neighborhood. I'm going to holler for my city. If you got a reason to open your mouth, stand on your feet, throw your hands up, throw your head back, and I need some Mordecais and some Esthers to start shouting until you get a breakthrough. Holler until the door opens. Holler until he heals your body. Holler, holler until he makes a way. Holler until your children come home. Let everything that have breath praise ye